Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Alright guys, so up to this point we've gone over all of the absolute basics in the JavaScript language. So things like variables and data types, conditionals, functions, loops. In the next section we're going to start to get into the DOM, or the document object model, where we'll learn how to select elements in the DOM, how to change them, how to work with them, style things, work with events, traverse the DOM. So basically working with the UI. Up to this point we've been just dealing with the core language and using the console as an output to see the results. Alright, now before we get into the DOM in the next section, I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about and look at the window object. Alright, because the document object is actually part of the window object, as with many other things. The window is the global object in client-side JavaScript. Now I know many of you probably aren't familiar with Node.js. I know a lot of you are, but many of you are not. And what it is it's a JavaScript runtime that runs as a standalone process on your machine and your computer. Alright, so your system, your computer system, is your environment in Node.js. Well, in client-side JavaScript, which is what this course is about, the window or the browser is the global environment. Okay, and what's cool is Node.js and Chrome both use the same JavaScript engine called V8, and it works the same way, it's just in different environments. Now the window object has a lot to it, okay, things that things that JavaScript developers use all the time, like local storage, the new fetch API, the navigator object, which includes geolocation. And then it even includes methods like alert and prompt and confirm. So I want to take a look at some of these properties and methods. Alright, now if we were to go over here in the console and just type in window and then click this little arrow, you can see all the different parts of window, including the alert method. If we go down here, you'll see like clear interval, clear timeout. We'll get into that stuff later on. We can close the window with the close method. You can see the document. This is actually the document object, so the core of the DOM. Fetch, which is the fetch API to make HTTP requests. We also have, let's see, we can get like the inner height and inner width of the window, which we'll take a look at. Local storage, that whole API is in the window object. So navigator, which is stuff that has to do with the browser, which we'll take a look at. All of the events that are available. So it has a lot to it. All right. So what we'll do is over here, let's say window methods, objects, and properties. All right. So even if we do a console log, like let's say console log 123. We could even do window.console log. Okay, now nobody really does that because there's no need to. We're at the top of the window object, so we don't need that. But it is part of the window. So a couple things I want to go over are alert, prompt, and confirm. Now alert is basically just that. It's a little box that pops up with an alert. So we can say window.alert. And we'll just say hello world and save and run, and we get this little pop-up that says hello world. Now most of the time you won't see the window here, so it'll be just alert, and that works just fine. Alright, so I'm going to comment that out. Let's also get rid of this console log right here. We don't need that. So in addition to alert, we have prompt. So prompt is similar to alert, except it takes an input. So what we'll do here is create a variable. We'll call it input. We'll set it to prompt. And then what we'll do is we can take that input and do whatever we want with it. So I'm just going to alert it back out. So we'll say alert input. Now if I save, we're going to get this drop down here with this text field. And we'll just put in hello. Oh, I'm going to click in it first and then say hello. And OK, and now you'll see it'll just alert it back out because that's what we chose to do with it, but you could do whatever you want with it. Alright, so that is prompt. We also have confirm. Now this is used often when you're deleting something because the person could just click delete by accident, or you just want to make sure that they're sure that they want to do whatever it is they're doing. So to do this, we'll do an if statement, and we'll say if confirm, and then it takes a parameter of the message. So let's say, are you sure? All right, and then if they'll have either OK or cancel. So if they click OK, then whatever you put in here will run. So we'll just say console log yes and save, and you can see we get are you sure. If I click OK, we get yes. Now if I click cancel, nothing will happen. If you want something to happen, you could just put an else, and you could say console.log, and let's say no. All right, so if I click OK, we get yes, and if I click cancel, we get no. Okay, so that is confirm. Now these aren't the best looking things. I mean, I would suggest putting alerts. For instance, if you have like an error message on form validation, I would suggest using the DOM and then, you know, outputting a nice looking bootstrap alert or something like that, rather than using these. These are kind of 90s type web applications, but they are there for you to use. All right, so now what I want to do is look at some properties. So for instance, we can get the height and the width of the window. Okay, you might need that for some kind of interactive application. What I'm going to do is declare a variable of val, and then down here console log it, just so we don't have a million different console logs to see these values. All right, so we can get the outer height and width. So we'll say val equals window dot outer height. Let's save that. Let's see, undefined. Why is it? Oh, I put two T's. All right, so the outer height right now is 1087. If I were to go ahead and shrink this down and reload, we get 863. All right, and you could actually create an event where, and we'll get into events later, where if you resize the window, this will constantly change, and you can do different things with that in terms of, you know, styling. Now we can also get the outer width. So if we go ahead and say outer width and save, we get 510, but if I were to make this a little bigger and reload, we get 561. All right, and outer is going to be from the outer edges. We also have inner width, which will be inside. So if you have scroll bars, for instance, it will be inside the scroll bars. So what I'll do is just copy this and paste that in, and this will be inner height and width. So we'll just change this to inner. Let's take a look at the height. So we'll just comment that out and save. We get 442. If we look at the width, we get 492. All right, now notice that the height was only 442 because it's not counting this. It's from here to here. All right. Actually, you know what I want to do is let's comment that back out. 442, but if I make this the Chrome tool smaller and reload, we get 607. All right, and notice that the outer height didn't count this. It was from top, you know, the very top to the very bottom. All right, so that's inner height and width and outer height and width. Now we can also get scroll points. So if you want to figure out where you are in terms of scrolling, we could say val equals window dot scroll y, which would be on the vertical axis. So if I save, we're going to get 0 because we don't even have scroll bars. So obviously we're at the very top. Now what I want to do just temporarily is create a div here, and we'll say style equals, and let's say margin top 1000 pixels, and that'll give us a scroll bar. Okay, and now you can see if I reload, we're at 400. If I scroll up here, reload, we're at 100, and so on. All right, and you can do the same thing with horizontal scroll if you use scroll X. Okay, I'm not going to demonstrate it, but it works the same exact way. All right, just get rid of that div. All right, and you know what this is good for is those sites where you scroll down and you have the animations happen as you're scrolling down. That way you know what point you're at and when to show the animations. All right, now there's a few other things I want to look at. That is the location object and the history object, which is part of the window object. All right, so what we're going to do here is let's go and let's put a comment in here. We'll say location object. All right, so I'm going to set val equal to window dot location so we can see what that includes. So if we
Created with free version for non-commercial use.